Look at the table. Who would have thought this? Seriously, what's going on? Somewhere in Germany, Harry Kane is sweating as we speak. 8 games in, and things are getting very interesting, with a lot to talk about, like the fact that the bubonic plague could be ravaging the entire Manchester City squad, yet Pep Guardiola still would not pick Calvin Phillips. At £42 million, he does make a very interesting bench ornament. Good business. Arsenal have finally gotten the better of Manchester City in the Premier League after 16 failed attempts. That's 8 years worth of football, in case you were wondering. It gets even better though. This is the second win in a row for Arsenal against City, if we want to include the Community Shield at the start of the season. We can't take our eyes off the rest of the league too, but as far as Arsenal City go, how significant was this result, really? Yo, what's going on guys? Hope we're all doing well. I'm Tinashe, welcome back to the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't, or don't. Whatever man, it's up to you. Before this match, as Arsenal's manager, Mikel Arteta had won against 23 of the 24 Premier League sides that he played against. The 24th? He hadn't even taken a single point from them. Ironically, from an internal setup perspective, it's the one team in the league that he should be familiar with most. Other than Arsenal, of course. Something was wrong with this Arsenal side. Something psychological. I mean, you could just chalk it down to Arsenal being worse than Man City. I mean, this is the best team in the world, right? But at the same time, even the worst Premier League teams have taken at least 1 point from Man City in that time frame. Many have referred to it as an inferiority complex. Some say it's dumb luck at times. It definitely didn't help last season. 2 of their 6 losses last year were to City, and City won the league by 5 points. So if we were to keep everything equal in this hypothetical scenario, hypothetically, they would have won the league if they had won even one of those matches. At a time like this, it seems appropriate that I'm reminded of an Aaron Ramsdale quote from the start of the season after the Community Shield win. It was the Community Shield, sure, not exactly the biggest of competitions, but maybe that win meant a lot more than we thought it did. For us, it's a statement. It's a marker. To know we can go and beat Man City in a big game when it matters. Now, the game itself didn't have that many talking points. Now, it was a good match, don't get me wrong. There was some really good defensive work from both sides, particularly from Saliba on Erling Haaland. Dude got the better of him really well in the Community Shield and showed he can repeat the feat. On the other end, it was pretty much the same story. Eddie Nketiah didn't have that much to work with and was pretty much anonymous too. Great work from both back lines. The biggest talking point, apart from the winner and the result of the match, was Mateo Kovacic. Why this man was allowed to play a solid 68 minutes before being subbed off, I'll never know. Dangerous play, studs up, nowhere near the ball. Doesn't matter if his intentions were pure. This could have been a career ender if Martin Odegaard's foot was planted with his full weight when the challenge came in. Plus, we have precedent for what must happen when this kind of challenge goes in. Precedent that dates as far back as last week. Curtis Jones was probably sat at home punching air when he saw this. But fair enough, it was just a mistake. No harm done. Until he went ahead and made Declan Rice his target literally 5 minutes later.
You dirty bastard, you've done it again!
Where is the card?
2 red card challenges within about 5 minutes. Pretty much only a slap on the wrist as punishment. Can you imagine the outrage that would have come in the media if Arsenal had lost this match? I'd rather not think about it. Consistency is clearly the PGMOL's strong suit. Will Arsenal get an apology? Probably not. Other than that, what can we really say? Possession was as close to 50-50 as it could be. There were only 3 shots on target between both teams, and Arsenal's goal came from a lucky deflection. Edison more than likely had this shot covered, but poor Nathan Ake couldn't get out of the way in time. On the other hand, this was a fantastic headed finish. Who says Arsenal need a target man? Not me. So what's actually going on with Manchester City right now? They've now lost 3 of their last 4 games. All 3 have been domestic games too. Looks a lot like a crisis, right? I mean, if you look at it like that, it does seem like a crisis, but I don't think it's anything too sensational. We all know the Man City cycle by now. They start slow and then they crank up the heat in the last 20 games or so. But let's stick to the present day. Now, I'm about to say something that I haven't said in a very long time and that kind of feels weird to say. Over the past 3 games, Man City haven't been at their best. In this game, they offered little going forward, they should have been down to 10 men, and they failed to take advantage of a goalkeeper that's looked pretty nervous over the past few games. A full-force Man City side would have taken advantage of that and more straight from the jump. No Kevin De Bruyne and no Rodri is so noticeable, it's actually quite comical. De Bruyne out with an injury, Rodri out with a red card suspension received against Forest 2 games ago. And it's his absence that's probably affected Man City more. De Bruyne has been injured since match week 1. City have only lost 3 competitive games so far this year. Rodri's been missing in all 3. Maybe with the presence and calm he has to offer, this would have been less of a contest. Who knows? Erling Haaland being missing has been trending for the last 2 weeks or so, which makes sense. He hasn't scored in 2 weeks. Although, I can't lie to you guys, if 8 goals in 8 games warrants a missing persons report, the entirety of Chelsea Football Club was off the map in September. When you set the standards so high, this kind of talk is inevitable. I want to see all of you posting these same memes when De Bruyne comes back from injury though. Until then, please, have your fun. It's the only chance we'll all get. Arsenal should be very chuffed with themselves right now. Any team that limits Man City to 1 shot on target deserves all the flowers. Regardless of the circumstances, Arteta and the boys did a very good job at neutralizing the treble winners. Plus, all 4 of Arteta's subs contributed to the goal. Partey, to Tomiyasu, to Havertz, to Martinelli. Genius level tactics. Genius, I tell you. Bukayo Saka's body was probably thanking him for not going out and getting kicked into the ground by defenders for the first time in a while, but Arsenal fans and Arteta are likely very worried. If you didn't know, before this match, Saka played in 87 consecutive Premier League matches. This is the first match that he's missed since 2020-21. Throw in cup competitions, international competitions, and what you'll see is that this man's workload has been insanely intense. So much so that a lot of concern has been raised about him. However, against Man City of all teams, he sat things out. This was due to a thigh injury. Evidently, that's the only thing that can get Arteta to give him a break.
Stop crying, it won't do any good. And anyway, you have a lot of work to do, starting right now.
For the first time in a very long time, we got to see how good this Arsenal side was in a high-pressure situation like this without their main man. And I gotta say, they missed him. I can see where Arteta's coming from. Yeah, they won, but they lacked that little bit of bite in their attacks. That sharpness. Admittedly, this showed mostly in the first half. Gabriel Martinelli, who's also coming off some time off the pitch, wasn't in the starting lineup either. Things picked up when he came on though. In an ideal world, Martinelli and Saka will both be fit and ready to play after the international break. Martinelli wasn't picked for Brazil, so he should be good. Now, Waistcoat Man might have a thing or two planned for Saka though. That's about that for this match, so let's zoom out and look at the race for the rest of top 4. We're not going to jump into any conclusions. Only 8 games in, 30 games left to play. Anything can happen. But all we can really talk about is what we've seen and what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is that the top 4 teams in the league are only separated by 3 points. That's not a lot of points. Tottenham are still flourishing. A 1-0 win over Luton this weekend looks like it was a close affair, until you realize that they were a man down in the second half. Yet we're still controlling everything. I feel like every week I say the same thing about Spurs. They're a very aggressive, exciting team to watch right now. I just don't know how long it's gonna last. You know, the pessimist in me keeps creeping in. An injury to Son or Maddison, and we're looking at a completely different picture. Probably. Liverpool and Brighton played an exciting 2-2 draw. A fair result, I thought. Liverpool's revival has been really interesting to see, and yes, I'm still in the process of finalizing the video about that. It would be unfair to rule Brighton out of anything after the start of the season they've had, but at the same time, we all know that they don't have the depth or experience to keep up with the likes of Arsenal, City, and Liverpool in the long run. And then of course we have Aston Villa that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, myself included, I must admit. Only Arsenal and Man City have won more points than them in the 2023 calendar year thus far. We probably need to talk about them pretty soon. You're all pretty keen to find out how things will pan out, right? Right? Too bad. International break. See you in 2 weeks. And there we have it. Let me know what you guys think about the current landscape of the league and how things will pan out. Feel free to follow all the socials, the links are in the description. That's all from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.